everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you are safe and you are with someone you care about who also cares about you. It is a glorious day here at the house. I'm filming this, full disclosure, on a Tuesday. We ended up with a little bit of a change of plans this week. We were due to get a press car today and we were going to be filming rolling shots or chase shots today. Unfortunately, that vehicle came back to the fleet last night with a sizable bit of damage to its front bumper. And of course, that would look terrible on camera. So we reached out to the automaker and were like, are you really sure you want us to film with this big old? And they were like, no, let's get it fixed first. So it's meant that we've been able to film and do all of the stuff that we would normally do later in the week, earlier in the week. It is glorious weather. I have a bit of spare time today, and I have, as I've pointed out on the main channel, I have been in not a great place for the last 4 or 5 months, and I'm still not in the best of places, but getting stuff done ahead of time always means that my weekend, my Thursday, my Friday, and the 2 days that I'm technically off but rarely are always easier. So I'm recording these a little bit early. I really enjoyed the discussion last week about how much you know about your vehicle and how much you think you need to know. I think for the most part, the answers I got were as I expected, so kind of no sudden surprises. Today, I want to talk about something that was inspired by a conversation I had this week with some friends when discussing travel. Now, as someone who enjoys driving, who enjoys riding my motorbike, I don't necessarily look at travel to places and go, oh, that's a long way. I don't want to go by car. I'll take the plane, or I'll find an alternative way. I'm generally like, I have an electric car. I can go there. It'll be fine. But I know that not everybody who drives an EV feels that way. A lot of people who drive EVs, both family members and also friends and even some of the team here at the channel, have a different comfort blanket to mine. And that's not to shame anybody, because everybody should have their own comfort blanket. But I would love to know where yours is. So specifically, what I want to know from you is, are there certain trips or certain places that you just will not go, either in a car full stop or in your car if you happen to own an EV? And more importantly, if you feel comfortable sharing, why do you feel like that? What is it that makes that particular thing not pleasant for you? Although there are very few places that I will absolutely say, no, I'm not driving there, I definitely have a list of places that I don't feel happy or comfortable driving for differing reasons. Before the current age of MAGA, where my existence and the existence of other LGBTQIA plus people was less of a political hot potato and nobody gave a damn. And I should also add in here, I think generally the population doesn't give a damn. It's just certain groups who are loud, who make mean and horrible comments and pass mean and horrible legislation. Traveling east from Portland over into eastern Oregon and then east into Idaho and on from there, there was always a little kind of spot of about maybe 200-300 miles of travel that always I'm going to use the phrase butt clenching. Probably the wrong phrase to use, but it was a point on the trip where I was like, I know these charging stations are problematic. And so I would get some kind of induced range anxiety, or I would drive slower than I normally do. or I would try and mitigate the risks as much as possible. But it was kind of like I don't like this. This is not pleasant, but I'm still going to do it and see where I go. I can't think of anywhere else locally to me where I get that kind of feeling anymore. I've generally been really lucky when it comes to range anxiety and charging station problems. I nearly always find some way of charging. There's only a couple of things I can think of where that's not been the case. One of them was a couple of years ago when I was driving in California, and I went to a charging site that had been offline and they were doing work, and it was in the middle of that really godforsaken is the wrong word, but that big expanse of land between Los Angeles and San Francisco where there's really not a lot going on. And I was stuck, and I had to spend the night in a hotel that I hadn't planned on spending the night in, because there was no easy way of me getting enough charge in my car to get to the next fast charger. So I ended up begging a granny cable socket and charged up enough overnight to limp the next morning to a fast charger in a nearby town. And then I ended up being late to San Francisco, but at least I made it. But even with those experiences, generally there aren't very many places where I won't go in an EV because I'm worried about range or charging. But I know many people will look at like a 5 or a 6 or an 8 or a 10-hour trip and go, sorry, too many hours spent charging on that trip. I'm just not going to do it. For me, if I'm not driving and I'm charging, I can be doing something else while I'm charging, so it really doesn't bug me. And I quite prefer the sedentary existence that you get from driving an EV, where it's not go, 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 go. It's you have to take a break every couple of hours. It is enforced, and that is okay. So that's never bugged me, but I'd love to know if that's something that bugs you and stops you from making trips in your EV to certain places. No, for me, it's more a case of there are certain places I don't want to go in certain vehicles. I know that I always get very nervous traveling to certain parts of the US. Not so much in Oregon, but definitely, unfortunately, as you head out east towards eastern Oregon and into Idaho, there are some places that I feel uncomfortable stopping and charging, even though there are charging stations. There's one place in Nebraska that really got to me, where the charging stations, there seems, every time I stop there seems to be large amounts of lifted pickup trucks that drive around the parking lot in a menacing fashion, and that's never made me comfortable, and I try and avoid that at all costs, so I don't mind admitting that. But really, it's more of a practical thing. The thing that I don't like doing normally comes down to practicality. So, for example, I hate taking my pickup truck anywhere that is busy, right? If I've got to drive through a city, I would much rather do it in the Bolt than in the F-150 Lightning. Seattle is a particular bane for me when it comes to driving. Unfortunately, I very often end up having to drive the truck through Seattle, either because I'm taking something big and heavy there, or because the other car is being used for something else and I have no choice. The start of this year, was at the end of last, I had to go up to Seattle for a medical appointment at short notice, and I went up there and I had to drive through the middle of Seattle in the F-150 Lightning because the Bolt was already somewhere else, and I did not enjoy that one little bit. Tight parking spaces, tight city streets, not the best visibility for maneuvering in tight streets. I just didn't enjoy that. And the same thing is true, like if I'm in another city. So if I'm in London, for example, I don't drive a lot in the UK anymore. I haven't been to the UK for a couple of years, but when I am in the UK, although I learned to drive in London, I try not to drive in London because, especially if I've just got off a plane and I'm a little jet lagged and my brain is adjusting to the steering wheel being on the other side of the car, driving through London is just something I don't enjoy doing. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that regard. Cycling through London no problem at all. Being on a motorbike in London, no problem at all, because I'm smaller and I can get out of trouble more easily, and I can also get through traffic more easily. But let me know in the down below if there are just places that you refuse to either take your EV or in general drive, and why. Perhaps there is a neighbourhood near you that you don't like taking your car through because you're worried that something will happen to you or it. Perhaps there is a local charging station that is constantly vandalised or has problems with vandals that you don't want to take your car to. Or perhaps you have fears about certain legs of driving that on paper your car can definitely do, but maybe because of terrain changes or sudden weather changes, you just don't want to do. I know someone who doesn't want to take their EV up to Mount Hood, despite there being charging stations there, because they worry about not being able to get there because of the change in elevation. So let me know in the down below, and I will see you back here next week as per usual. Someone just went down the road on a bike, and as always, stay safe and keep your wits about you. Thanks for joining us today, and if you've got thoughts, make sure you leave them in our Discord chat room, on our Patreon page down below, or you can reach out to us on Mastodon or Blue Sky. Thanks to the amazing list of people scrolling by on your screen right now. They're part of the massive community of supporters who make this channel possible, helping us through Patreon and YouTube, covering our bills, paying our team, and helping us to remain 100% independent. If you'd like to join them and see your name listed here, just follow the links below. We've got options available across a wide range of different price points, starting from just $1.50 US a month. A massive welcome to our newest supporters: Bass, Mind Sturmer, Dan Morton, DX Watt, There's Jer, Magnetar Employer, Ron THX1138, Jonas V, John Leonard, Joe Weekend Dog Dad, Yalfini, David Hardin, Enzoticus, Ed Runyon, Beth S, Mitch Rassner, Brad Crusshorn, Leighton, Dennis, Stephen Beetle, Albert Beatty, Peterson, Ja, Todd Fraser, Rick B, Paul, Andrew Deet, Tim Benford, John Salmons, Sag Gibson, JTPDX, Tyler Walker, Gary Dean Mercer Clark, Roboman410, and John Galley. To join the list and get your shout out, become a paid Patreon member for your moment of fame, and you can even give membership to someone else. If you'd like to support us with a one-off donation, you'll find links below to make Ko-fi and Bitcoin donations, and we even have an old-fashioned PO box that you can reach us at the time being, address also below. You'll also find links to our swag store, and if you are someone who has to shop on Amazon, please consider using our affiliate link so we get the commission, not Jeff Bezos. So we can continue to focus on making our content even better and reduce creator burnout. We're being a little freer with our release days this year, but plan on dropping new content every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday on our main channel, plus something on Sunday over on Transport Evolved Take 2. If you want more, the algorithm that hates us thinks you should watch this video, but this one is one of our favourites. Be awesome, be kind, be intentional, and don't forget to resist. Keep evolving.